Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by anglerschoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishing, FishNV Guide Service, and Husky Musky Leaders. You're listening to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio. You know, the weather's a little bit dreary, but the day you folks were unveiling your new flagship store, it was a beautiful, beautiful day.
It certainly was. Nice and sunny.
So, why did you pick Cambridge, Tony?
Honestly, when we started looking at the Ontario market, and we first opened in Ottawa in 2010, since 2010 that we were looking to come to the Tri-City area, our market study, profile, demographic, etc. of the market are absolutely exactly what sale needs. It took me 3 years to find a location and finally come up with a deal. As you could imagine, 70,000 square feet is huge, and it's not easy to just take a month and you have a location and away you go. It does take some time. So, no, the Tri-City area, Cambridge, population, demographic, people love the outdoors, fly fishing, camping, you name it. We wanted to be in southwestern Ontario, and we're very happy that we are.
Fantastic. That was one thing that we both agreed on during the unveiling, was that this area is just chock full of outdoors right off your doorstep. You don't have to go that far, and to have a great store like yours coming to the Tri-City area is fantastic, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it, and it's great to have you on the show. Now, I see that your map is kind of moving towards a westerly direction. Is there any chance of that, or even northwest?
We're going to, of course, we're talking about Cambridge opening next fall. We'll analyze what happens there. At the moment, there's no plan to go west of Cambridge, but because we still have some potential both in Ontario. We're looking at another store in the Toronto area. We're looking to put in a new store also in the Greater Montreal area, etc. So we want to make sure we do our homework right. We do what we're supposed to do in those two markets, that we walk before we run.
Yep.
So we still have a lot of work to do just to complete our work in Ontario and Quebec. And we'll see what happens 2-3 years down the road about going west.
Fantastic, fantastic. Folks, my special guest, Tony Mignacca, president of SAIL, the Outdoor Superstore. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, Tony, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Ben. It's been a pleasure, and all my best to everybody in your area. Looking forward to opening our store there and shaking some hands on opening day.
Excellent.
Talk to you soon.
Take care. Okay, folks, welcome to another edition of Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio, right here on the Reno Viola Outdoor Radio Network. And I'm here with my guest, Tyler Dunn from Sault Ste. Marie. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and the Sault Ste. Marie Steelhead and what it is that you do out in the Sioux.
Well, it's not just steelhead. The Sioux's famous for multi-species, really. I specialize in steelhead, both the St. Mary's River and Superior tributaries. But there's everything. There's walleye, there's both largemouth, smallmouth bass, there's muskie, salmon, chinooks, cohos, pink salmon, Atlantic salmon, and there's good panfish fishing too. So it's really whatever you want.
Yep.
But my favorite, and what I highly recommend, just for the scenery and the amount of different places you can fish, is steelhead.
Awesome. Yeah, and I grew up in the Sioux there, and you're right. There's a plethora of freshwater fish to be had up there. It's gorgeous country.
Too, I forgot to mention it's everybody local. That's they specialize, and everybody fishes brook trout. It's there's countless lakes to go
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how'd you get started?
Actually, I was taking business down in Fanshawe College in London.
Okay.
And I had to do a business plan, a fake business plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I just made it on something I actually wanted to use.
Yep.
And I did a guiding company. And my teacher at the time kind of push came to shove, said I should do it when I get home, and that's how it started.
Awesome.
Home from school, and just started trying to get my name out there.
Awesome. So it worked out for you. Did you get a good grade on that? Did you get a good grade on that paper?
Not bad. I thought I was going to get a bit better, but not bad.
Now, fishing on the St. Mary's River can be treacherous at times. Can you give us an example?
It can be intimidating, I would say.
Okay, intimidating then. Can you give us a
deep, clear?
Yeah.
All that, especially this fall, we had the gates were open all fall. The rapids are unfishable pretty much.
Wow.
But now they've closed them about 3 weeks ago, and there's fishable now, tons of fish around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very intimidating. You go to the rapids there, and there's quarter-mile stretch across with there's holes and runs and all over the place, and it's fast. You don't want to fall. It's cold, and but it looks it's not as intense as people claim it as. It's go slow, take your time.
Yeah.
There's fish in all the holes. Be safe. You'll catch them.
Now, what kind of setup do you personally like to run when you're out there on the St. Mary's?
Personally, I like to float fish. I use all Raven equipment. Typically, I'll spend up north on the Spreaker trip areas. It's 90% float fishing. But down in the rapids, I will bounce bottom. I'd say it's 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
All depends on the weather, what people want to do, where the fish are, stuff like that.
Awesome. Now, you have over 50 published articles, and you can be found on OntarioFishing.net.
That's it.
Awesome. So there you go,
I've been
folks.
for a couple of years now. TJ Quinnell, hooked up with him actually when I was down in college too. Just wrote an article and sent it in. He liked it. One thing led to another. Asked me to start writing full time, and it's been good ever since. That actually got me some exposure, and a couple other magazines contacted me. I did some work for them.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, what do you do when the steelhead aren't running?
Ice fishing.
Ice fishing.
Ice fishing for them. No, I fish year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
So
look up species.
awesome,
I like
awesome.
salmon. I fish a lot of, little bit of bass, not a whole lot of bass. Quite a bit of walleye too during the summer.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you fish in the? It just slipped me now. The Agawam Canyon.
Yeah, Lake Superior Park. Yes, I do. I fish quite extensively up there too. Actually,
It's gorgeous out there.
Paddle kayaks.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
No motors allowed, so everybody's typically in a canoe.
Yeah.
But ever since I set my eyes on one of those kayaks, and that's all I use in there now. I spend a lot of time up towards in between Agawam and Walwa.
Yeah.
Lake Trout, Brook Trout, and Stocks Lake, and that up there.
I do miss my brook trout fishing. I haven't been able to locate any down south here. So.
But no, yeah. Actually, I head up to Nipigon now quite often for my fix.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, it's only about 5 hours from the Sioux here, so it's not a bad drive.
Perfect.
It's worth it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, any Canadian sponsors you want to give a shout out to that's helping you along the way in your journey of?
All the way there, they've been behind me the last couple of years. Great guys. They're expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Have a bunch of new reels out. They have 5 new float reels, a new rod, the RPX. It's phenomenal. They have a bunch of new stuff that's going to be coming out. I'm not going to say what yet because it hasn't been announced.
But you got the
looks
scoop.
Like they're really expanding, so
Excellent.
It's going to be a good thing next year.
Excellent. All right. So that's Raven Tackle, folks. And what's the what's the website, Tyler?
RavenTackle.com.
There you go. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for my guest, Tyler Dunn. He's out in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and he's the owner of Tyler Dunn Guiding. You can catch his articles on OntarioFishing.net. And, yeah, it was good talking to you, Tyler. Thanks for being on the show. All right.
We are Rob and Robin, you're on the water with the assassins. Like most of you, we're stranded watching the Weather Channel and just praying the temperatures stay below zero, the wind stays calm, and snow is at a minimum. We just want the ice to freeze already. Our tip this week is about tackle and prep. Take a day. For us, it was last Wednesday. Pull all your gear out, check hooks, organize tackle boxes, and inventory what you do and do not have left over from last year. Once you have everything organized, it's easy to make a list and hit your favorite tackle store. For us, it was a quick trip to Sail for new lines, swivels, and a few new small spoons and jigs for early ice. When you get home, pour your favorite beverage, get out all your rods, and have a relaxing afternoon of lining your reels. It can be more fun than you would think. It all seems like a tease playing with your gear before you hit the ice, but that day is coming soon. Time to get ready. Until next time on the water with the assassins, right here on Ben McWhinney Outdoors. Tight lines.
Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by anglerschoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith Trophy Fishing, FishNV Guide Service, and Husky Musky Leaders. You're listening to Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio. All right, folks, welcome to Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio right here on the Reno Viola Outdoor Radio Network. My special guest this evening is Yvonne Brown, and she is the organizer and I guess president and grand poobah down at Fishing 101 for Women, and it's a seminar that Yvonne puts on that other women can help volunteer. And I'll let you explain more about it, Yvonne. Take it away. Welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Ben. Fishing 101 for Women actually came from another event that I did last fall with the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. They have a women's outdoor weekend every fall. Mm-hmm. And myself, along with John Sedgwick, were asked to be fishing instructors. And we got so much feedback and so many positive comments that I went away feeling like there's a lot of women out there that really do want to fish, but most of them that I spoke with, if their husbands fished, they didn't like fishing with their husbands.
I wonder why.
And sometimes someone who is close to you isn't always the best teacher.
Yeah, that's true.
I went away thinking...
I never listened to Deb.
I looked around to see if there were other organizations just for women, and other than a few fly fishing groups, there really isn't anything out there. So
True.
That's where I got the idea from Fishing 101, and I put on 5 seminars this summer. I also did the Women's Outdoor Weekend with OFA again this summer, or this fall. And so I did a condensed version of the seminar on the Friday night, and then we do the actual fishing on the Saturday. So it was a little bit of work to get it off the ground, but it seems like the ball is rolling, and I'm getting more and more people contact me about it, asking where I'm going to be doing the seminars next year. And I've got about people from 8 different cities, I would say, in southern Ontario that would like to have it held in their area.
Awesome. That is fantastic. So it's really grown for you.
Yes.
That's incredible. And so the seminars are held, and the ladies get together. And what do you guys tackle? Like, speaking of tackle, no pun intended. But what are some of the topics that you guys deal with at your seminars?
Well, it is 101. It is very much the basics. We talk about zoning and regulations, because some people don't realize that there are slot limits, and their slot limits are different depending on where you're fishing in the province. Also, seasons when certain species open, the different types of licensing. Then we get into things like safety, fish identification. I take about 8 to 10 the most common fish that people would catch, mostly in the courses, because that's where I fish most of the time. And we talk about rods and reels, equipment, baits and lures, and I talk a little bit about clubs and tournaments, and I definitely always focus on taking kids out fishing as well. Mm-hmm. That's sort of another tangent that I've got involved with is helping out at kids derbies in the season, and I also help organize one that one of the bass clubs, the Port Perry Bassmasters, run. And you and your family were there last year, or this summer.
Yeah, you're also a member with the Port Perry Bassmasters, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. And that's where we met you, so you get a lot of support coming that way from your local chapter?
From the club itself?
Mm-hmm.
This past summer, they were really tied up. We had the Ontario Bass Nation qualifier in Quinty, and my club was one of 3 that helped organize that. So I had to do a little bit more organizing with the kids event this year, but everyone's really interested in having this continue, and we started a junior club as well within the Port Perry Bassmasters, so we're going to ask them to help volunteer. And we've had great support from the industry. I think when it's a kids event, people don't mind. They always give. They always want to see kids getting out in the water, and it's great when we hear from parents saying, "This is the first time my kids ever caught a fish."
Yeah.
And we got 2 great emails after the event, and one was from a dad who said, "This is the first time my son got to fish, and although he didn't get anything, he had a great time and wanted to go back out again." But what was even nicer was that he also brought his 80-year-old dad with him. And so while his son was fishing, he and his dad were reminiscing about different fishing experiences that they had had. It was a great family connection for them.
Awesome. That's fantastic. When Deb and I brought Titus down to the little Port Perry Bass Derby, or Fishing Derby, that was fantastic. And you guys put on a great show, and Rapala was there to support it. Not maybe in person, but in product for the kids for sure. And I just want to congratulate you and give you my hats off for what you do out there with your seminars for women. Folks, Yvonne's very easy to approach, and you're going to the show this year, correct?
Yeah, I should be at the Toronto Sportsman Show and the Spring Fishing and Boat Show as well.
Perfect. So find her on Facebook. It's Fishing101 for Women. And do you have any sponsors or any Canadian folk that you'd like to give a plug to?
Yeah. Well, I always like to thank the guys at the Port Perry Bassmasters because they're a great group, and I'm the only woman in the club, so I know it's not always easy having females in the club, but they've been really, really good with me. Let's Fish Guiding, who was one of my first sponsors, and Radio World, and I've just been brought on to the field staff team of Shimano Canada, which is something I'm really looking forward to, and there's a great bunch of people there as well.
Fantastic.
Anglers, and you don't have to have a lot of experience, but if you're interested in volunteering at some of the seminars, it's always good to have a couple of extra pairs of hands to help with the fish and the baiting or retying if something breaks off. So they can contact me through the Facebook page. My email's there as well.
Yeah, and I'll put a link up with the podcast as well.
Great, thank you.
All right. Well, Yvonne, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
So I'm on the line here with friend John Anderson from the Ottawa River Musky Factory. Welcome back, John.
Hey, Ben, thanks for having me.
It is. So, what's going on in Ottawa? Like you've caught a ton of fish this year. It looks like the fishery's healthy. Any updates or anything?
I guess just to review the season, it's been a strong year for musky fishing on the Ottawa River. It's been a strong year pretty much North America-wide. In general, everybody is having a good year, or everybody is having a poor year as the major weather systems that influence our fishing visit the U.S. generally before they come and see us, or visit us before they go and see them. And so they've all been positive influence on the fishery this year. So
awesome.
Other than really the highest water we've ever had in the spring, brown, cold, dirty, and no weeds.
Yeah.
Other than having to adjust to conditions for the first 4 weeks of the season, it's been a pretty normal year, and we've produced good numbers of fish and big fish consistently through the season, right up until even the last couple of days. We're still going strong. Awesome.
Any anomalies?
Any anomalies?
Yeah, like lampreys or...
I mentioned conditions that we had at the start of the season, Ben, and the Ottawas never had water that was as high as it was and as brown as it was. And as I said, there were no weeds on most of the musky spots. Anything mid-river had too much current to hold fish.
Yep.
So at the start of the year, if you didn't figure out that you needed to be off the mid-river spots and in bays and on the few weeds that were there, then you didn't catch fish. And so some people took a little while to adjust to that. And with those conditions, we had something that was very curious happen. We had the fattest muskies that we've ever had in the Ottawa River in early July. What happened is when fish finished their spawn, because the water was dirty and a lot of current, all your fish on the river, regardless of species, were avoiding the current. And so they ended up in off-current areas, and a lot of them in deep holes off the main river. And everybody sat together and waited until the water cleared up, it dropped, and it slowed down before they moved away. And so the muskies were quite happy with this situation.
Awesome.
Busting with everybody else and eating everybody else along the way. And so when I say the thickest girth we've ever had, then we got a fish on July 9th that was 55 inches by 24 and a quarter inches around. And so that sort of girth is really an end of October girth. But, you know, regardless of the length of our fish, we were finding bellies on them like that all through the start of the year. So even heavier fish than normal on the river, which is not a problem at all.
That's fantastic. What a season. Wow. So, and getting back to the biodiversity and that of the Ottawa River, how are things there? I know I touched earlier in the month on the Asian carp or anything. Anything to report there on the invasive species side of life?
People monitoring the Ottawa River have been looking for the round gobies to come in our system for the past few years, and since they're all through the St. Lawrence and they have access through the locks on the Carillon Dam, which is the dam between the Ottawa, the last dam between the Ottawa and the St. Lawrence, they pretty much have free flow to get into our section of the river. However, our water is a lot dirtier, has a lot more sediment and tannins in it than the St. Lawrence, and the clear water that the gobies seem to like. So I don't believe that they're much of a factor at all, despite how prolific they are through the St. Lawrence and the Great Lakes system. So that's sort of a surprise that they didn't take hold in our system. And you know, when the zebra mussels came in and spread prolifically throughout the Great Lakes system, they didn't really make it into the Ottawa. There's not enough phosphorus in there for them to grow into to grow shells and to grow into massive numbers. And so we've really been spared with the more serious invasive species. No real problems on the river.
That's good.
Something else that contributes to the Ottawa River, the strength of the Ottawa River, is the dams on our system. The water levels on the Ottawa River don't fluctuate more than 4 to 5 feet maximum at any time. And so fish have access to their preferred spawning grounds every spring. In a lot of bodies of water, you have year classes where this will be a good year because the conditions were right, and then they were poor for a couple years, so fish didn't unwell. But on the Ottawa, we have constant recruitment. The conditions are there for good spawning, successful spawning, year in and year out. And that's one of the key reasons why the Ottawa is a top 3 or 4 musky fishery in the entire world.
Yep, absolutely. I would agree 100% with that. It's amazing fishery. Now, tell us about the Conservation Authority that works so diligently with you and Muskies Canada up there.
Muskies Canada, under the leadership of Peter Levick, our fantastic Ottawa Muskies Canada chapter leader. Peter's forged a number of relationships for us, and so we joined forces with the Riverkeeper program. And for those people unfamiliar with the Riverkeeper program, it was started in the States. It was actually created by John F. Kennedy. And the Ottawa River, I guess about 5 years ago, So it's been that's a very positive relationship with Musky Canada. It's the first year that it's been in place, and we look forward to doing more for the River Keeper program.
Oh, absolutely.
And better water is better for not only the musky fishermen, it's better for fishermen of every species and
absolutely.
The river as a whole.
100%. It's one of those things that a community can get involved in and support, and it's about protecting our future. That's all it is. And if we can't rely on the federal government to do it for us, then I guess we'll have to find other ways.
Yeah, and the beauty of the Riverkeeper program is that it was launched through government grants initially for the first couple of years, but I believe that it is solely privately funded at this point.
Yeah, and like our Muskies Canada, we just launched it at the Odyssey last year, this last spring, for our Treasury Fund for Muskies Canada.
Yeah, well, big news for us in terms of financing.
Yep.
Muskies Canada became a registered charitable organization this past year, and that changes the landscape completely in terms of our ability to raise money and undertake projects.
And in some cases litigate too. We have
some really major projects on the go here in the Ottawa area. In the middle of the downtown core, for example, in Brewer Park, a very well-known park in the area, there's a pond that's off of the main river that when the waters rise in the spring, the pond fills with fish and the waters drop and everything that's in the pond ends up dying.
Yeah.
The pond's been there for 60 or 70 years, and so we're undertaking with a couple of developers and various government organizations to reconnect this pond to a deep channel back to the Rideau so that we create more habitat for lunch, more habitat for forage fish. And, this is a huge project right in the middle of the downtown core of the city.
I enjoyed looking at that.
Built abatement around the Bronson Street Bridge.
Folks, John Anderson of the Ottawa River Musky Factory. He's a published author, guide, fantastic person all around. John, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, Ben, thanks for doing that public relations for me. You can do that anytime.
Not a problem, buddy. You take care.
All the best, Ben. Thanks.
Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by anglerschoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishing, Fish NV Guide Service, and Husky Musky Leaders. You're listening to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio.